This is Dr. Andrew Jones. In this edition of Veterinary Secrets, I'm going to show you 5 home remedies that you can use to help your stinky dog smell so much better at home. But you guys, just before we get going in today's video, just a little update. First, thanks for all of you who've sort of written in comments in support of Lewis. As you know, he had a pretty scary event a little over a week ago. He just came in from being outside, suddenly collapsed. It turned out he'd probably eaten something, had primary liver disease. And in some cases, just a toxin can cause those clinical signs and cause you to go into shock. So he's being treated. He's on milk thistle, on dandelion root. And he's doing great, as you can see. He's been super active, been eating a ton, and yeah, he's getting especially more attention, and he gets to hang out with his buddy Pearl here on the couch. Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. For those of you who are new, welcome. I'm Dr. Jones. For you returning subscribers, thanks for being a subscriber. Today's episode was primarily inspired by my dog Lewis's friend. Her name is Pearl. I'm going to show you her here. It's like zoom down in the camera. Here's the two of them. They're hanging out on my couch in the office. Yeah, as you can see, they have a pretty good life. Pearl herself has a bit of an issue where she's really smelly. And if you were here in this room right now, you would have this like, whoa, overwhelming dog smell. For those of you who are familiar with the smell of a dog who's got a yeast or bacterial skin infection, you know what I mean. So very, very common, that just overwhelming dog smell. Fortunately, there are a number of home remedies that you should be considering using that are really effective. And I'm about to use one today on Pearl to test it all out. So you guys, so what is that doggy smell that you may be smelling in the first place? You know, why is there such a bad odor? For the majority of dogs that have especially strong dog odor, they've got an underlying issue. Most commonly we're dealing with these dogs that typically have a primary allergy, and then they're going to have an underlying skin disorder, primarily an overgrowth of bacteria and or yeast, producing that smell. I mean, there's something there. For the most part, you'll take a dog like my own dog Lewis. He doesn't have any serious underlying skin disease. He has no odor. And, you know, he may get a bath once a month, once every 2 months. Pearl, as the opposite example, is not the case. And as I was just saying, if you were here, I mean, you'd smell Pearl and you'd be like, what is that smell? She's a wonderful dog. But we just need some things to help you smell better, especially when she's in a small space. So the first remedy I want you guys to consider is a shampoo. This one is Selenium Sulfide here. The brand name is typically called Selsun Blue, where people use for dandruff and or seborrhea. Primarily in those cases, the thought is people, or us, that have excessive amounts of dandruff, often will have an underlying fungal infection going on. So they've got an overgrowth of too much of a certain microorganism, then ultimately leading to this sort of all this dead flaky skin. For our dogs that have this typically big, strong smell, it's not uncommon that they've got a primary allergy, then secondary yeast infection. And we found the Selsun Blue in particular works really well, and I use it for a ton of the dogs in practice, really made a big difference. So something like Pearl here, you're gonna throw her in the bath, get her fairly wet first, 2 or 3 squirts, similar to how you're gonna lather yourself up, then really rub it in really well. But you wanna really focus on the areas, those skin folds, which can be a little bit harder to get into, but that's where the yeast and bacteria really like to grow. So you want to rub that in as thoroughly as possible, let it sit on there for 10 minutes, and then rinse it off. You want to do that no more than once a week, but that alone may be all that you need to have your dog smelling so much better. So the next thing I want to talk about is something that I've talked about in the past for a variety of different conditions. So here it is here, apple cider vinegar. It's got a number of different therapeutic uses. But in this instance, it's one that's good for dealing with yeast and bacteria. The thing with vinegar is you don't never want to be putting it on any type of open wound because it is acidic. It's sure going to sting. But generally, when we've got a dog, something like Pearl, who's just sort of strong and smelly, it's a great one to consider topically. There's a couple different ways you can look at doing it. One, you can look at making some type of apple cider vinegar rinse. The solution I'll mix is 50-50. So, for instance, a half a cup of apple cider vinegar, a half a cup of water, and then you want to just completely cover your dog in that. And especially getting it, as I said, under the groin, into the skin folds, under the armpits, all those areas that look a little bit dark especially. Let it sit in there for a good 10 minutes and then rinse it off. The other thing you can do with apple cider vinegar, I've had a number of different dog owners report that when they start to give it orally, so all you would need for something like Pearl or Lewis, she's about 80 pounds, 2 teaspoons twice a day. You can even just start out at 2 teaspoons once a day. You could try just adding it to her water. But generally you're looking at about a teaspoon for sort of 40 pounds of body weight given twice daily. That alone often is enough just to sort of normalize what's going on within their skin. So one is a rinse, second is giving it orally. Thirdly, you can look at combining it with another type of tea. So what I've picked up here is just some green tea, which I'm about to drink myself. But it works really well topically too. So often what you could do is do something like make a cup of green tea, use a half a cup of green tea, combine that with a half a cup of apple cider vinegar, use that with a rinse. Because what you're doing is you're getting in the beneficial acidic effects of the vinegar, which are going to deal with the yeast and the bacteria, and then you're getting the green tea, which is great as being an anti-inflammatory. So those two in combination is a real good rinse to consider. Okay guys, the third thing I want to talk to you about is making your own actual dog shampoo. As opposed to purchasing, one of the conventional veterinary ones, which may be targeted for fungus or yeast or bacteria. There's obviously a number of different skin-related veterinary ones, or even a human one, which we talked about earlier, that Selsun Blue. Another option is to make your own. So I'll just, Pearl. Oh, she likes being rubbed. Good girl. I'll show you here. Oh, you furry dog. So one, you want to start out with the basis is, this is a soap, it's called Castile Soap. I'll show you specifics within the video itself. So I just went to my local co-op and picked it up. It's a concentrated soap. It's based on, we're taking concentrated plant oils, for instance, primarily olive oil. And then they're adding in an alkali base. There's something called potash. So we used to spray it around the barnyard, for instance, after when animals had diarrhea. It's called lye. It's very alkali. They'll combine those two together and mix them up, cook them up for about 6 hours. It turns out to this very concentrated, 100% natural soap. So it's a real good basis of a soap to use for a whole variety of things. I'm going to start using it, making my own cleaning products. But what you can do in combination with this is start out with a tablespoon of Castile soap. I want you to take then 1 cup of water, so any type of, just disposable shampoo bottle. And then I want you to combine either an essential oil. So this one here is lavender oil. So you could use 5 drops of lavender oil. The other one here, this is 5 drops of mint. So mint itself is great as being anti-inflammatory. The lavender is great as far as making your dog smell better. Secondary two, it's also antibacterial. So, these 3 in combination are really great natural doggy shampoo. And I'll give you a specific recipe under the notes after this video. Okay, so the last couple things I want to talk about typically are relating to the underlying cause. For instance, your dog having some type of underlying allergic condition. So the first thing, the basis, is increasing the amount of essential fatty acids in your dog's diet. And these are the omega-3 fatty acids. These are the ones that are specifically anti-inflammatory. So I'm going to grab here some flax oil, which I just picked up. Super inexpensive, easy to give. Pearl here, for instance, if I'm to open it up, I know she's going to want to lick it. Pearl. Typically she eats most things, but she would, if I were to pour this on her food, she'd eat it. And when we're looking at the essential oil dose, we're looking at 1,000 milligrams per 10 pounds of body weight. And if we've got a severely itching dog like Pearl with a serious strong underlying dog odor, you could look at starting that on twice daily. The maintenance dose is once daily. So she would need, for something like Pearl, I would be giving her, it's 1 tablespoon for 40 pounds, so I'd be giving her 2 tablespoons. And when she's smelling like the way she is now, I'd be giving her 2 tablespoons of flax oil twice daily. I do that for the next sort of 10 days to 2 weeks, till at least I start to see her smell better. And then I'd keep her on a maintenance dose of at least 2 tablespoons once daily. Hey guys, so the last thing I want to talk to you about is a herb that you could use for these severe allergic flare-ups. So for instance, if you've got a dog all of a sudden has this really strong doggy odor, they're also doing a whole lot of itching, it means they've got some serious inflammation going on. And it's really nice if you can give them something, especially just to decrease the level of inflammation. By doing so, you're going to help make it so there's less bacteria, less yeast growing on your dog's skin. There's going to be less doggy odor. The one option I picked up here is licorice. So this is an anti-inflammatory herb. Sort of, in some of the herbalists consider it sort of the natural prednisone. That's a thing that many of you would have had your dog on. They've got an underlying allergy. When you're looking at licorice, first of all, you're only using it short term, not long term. If you've got any type of underlying organ dysfunction, you don't want to be using it. When I'm looking at a dose, I'm looking at about a 1/2 ml per 20 pounds of body weight twice daily. So something like Pearl should be getting 2 ml, and I'll just show you the dropper thing here. Takes you right up to there. That's 1 ml right there. She should be getting 2 of those twice daily. She had a flare up. I'd be treating her for 3 to 5 days. Just enough to decrease all that level of inflammation. Then while I've got her on some of the other supplements, primarily higher doses of the essential fatty acids, and then using one of those shampoos that I talked about to help deal with the underlying likely yeast that is causing the bad doggy odor. Thank you guys for watching this edition of Veterinary Secrets on how to make your dog smell better. They've got really bad doggy odor, such as Pearl. What I want you to do now is first click that link in the box above. That can subscribe you to my channel. Then you can go ahead, click that link in the box below. I can send you my free books and videos, and I'd heal your dogs at home with my top natural remedies.